Evening, you're flying with Pod Squadron podcast. All wings report in. This is Andy, Pod Job standing by.
This is Tracy, Pod Tracer standing by.
All ships to attack formation. Mission objectives to talk about Star Wars and movies, streaming, animation, books, themed experiences, and your art and inspiration from a galaxy far, far away. Today's flight plan includes some Star Wars headlines, as well as a prep for Ashoka, which begins tomorrow. And for all of you out there, all common channels are open. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Find us on YouTube. Like and subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you know when we have new content. But first, I will be your squad leader for today. I'm Andy Lowe, a.k.a. Chinese Pirate. I'm a director, storyteller, puppeteer, performer, and fight choreographer. On my wing, as always, is Tracy.
You're always our squad leader for today, Andy.
I am. Not always. Sometimes I have technical difficulties.
Speaking of which, Lexi will be here any minute. She's having mic problems, but we need to get started and be on time, guys. Okay, I'm Tracy, aka Hot Nerd Girl. My bio says that I'm a writer, a blogger, occasional cosplay artist. That's still true. And the one and only Hot Nerd Girl in all caps. That's what it says, so I'm sticking to it.
And of course, we are just one squad in this fleet. We're part of the Geekish Network. That's right here on YouTube and on Facebook. The Geekish Network. All S-foils to attack positions. We're going in. All right. So we got a couple of quick little headlines that we're gonna talk about. First up is that Lucasfilm has announced that they're shutting down their VFX and animation facility in Singapore. And this was a bit of a surprise. Both a surprise and not a surprise. Disney has been plagued with some need for cutbacks and to cut costs, as you know they have been.
Gotta pay Bob Iger's paycheck.
They do. But also, it really made a lot of people curious about what the future is for future Star Wars animation, right? As far as we know, Bad Batch Season 3 is still out there and is still planned to be the final season for the Bad Batch. According to some of the muckety mucks over there, they're saying that it will not affect production. So fingers crossed that this doesn't mean other shows in the pipeline are casualties of this. So.
I know they laid off a bunch of VFX guys up in San Francisco a few years ago.
Yeah.
So guys and gals.
And of course, there is also a strike amongst VFX artists in the Marvel camp too, which of course is not Lucasfilm, but is still all under the Disney umbrella. There's a lot of strikes going on, folks.
Speaking of which, it's been a long time, but still supporting the strikers, of course. But yeah, I haven't seen any progress being made. Andy, you were out on the picket line the other day.
Yeah, I was. I was out with a bunch of folks on was that last Thursday, actually, I believe. And we were kind of taking a little walk around the Disney lot. There was shade there, as opposed to some other studios, which do not have shade or even sidewalks. But it was cool to see, very good turnout that day. Particularly, there was a movement from the Filipino community that day. So there was also, free lumpia being passed out. Oh, and you have a puppy.
Apparently she's got home. Hi, baby. Don't eat my earpiece. Hi, baby. Hello, my love. I'm in the middle of recording a show, my dear. Okay. Yes. Hi. Okay.
So there was for the strikers that were there was free lumpia for those who got there in time. There was another truck came up. It was offering iced coffee drinks. Another truck that came up that had shave ice and stuff. And they had camps on either side of the studio for both WGA as well as the SAG-AFTRA folks. Got to see a number of people that were not union affiliated that were there, but also other unions. Some people that were there holding signs from IATSE, particularly in the customers union. It's a really interesting time right now because I mean it appears to be a global reckoning because there. I mean, this was also, was it last week that the city workers, the LA city workers, had a strike as well?
Hotel workers have been
Hotel
striking.
workers are
Yeah.
are striking as well. It's a pretty massive movement of shall we say a reckoning, as basically labor kind of comes to terms with kind of the realities of the way our economy has been kind of gamed against folks. People are trying to describe this as, imagine if you were playing Monopoly and you pass go and you collect $200, but you don't buy a single bit of property ever.
Yeah.
And you just keep going around collecting $200 and disseminating it.
So are there designated days for the picketing?
Yeah, so I think if you are wanting to strike with SAG or with WGA, you can check the website or check their social media. They have announced days, and
I just
as well as
assumed it was every
instructions.
day. I don't know why.
Pretty much it's every day. It's but it's like because they're bouncing around between the different studios, and there's different strike captains who are basically the lead at each studio. So they're not necessarily doing every day, and like right now they're not doing Universal because they have gone to great lengths to make it very unsafe for strikers, and it's kind of
don't want anybody to get hurt. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like no one. I mean, amongst the people organizing the strike, they want to be responsible about that, but also it's pretty shady that folks have a right to protest, and that is a whole other thing.
Well, I hope the studios come to their senses and it's over very quickly because a lot of people aren't working right now. So
yeah, I mean, it's a lot of the peripheral stuff, right? Like the caterers, the PAs. I mean, I know that there was a post last week from the director of the upcoming Tron 3 film that was saying today would have been day one of their production, and that is now on hold. A lot of people are laid off. It's very difficult. But apparently the writers team, the WGA team, is back at the negotiation table with the producers, with the APMT, and we'll see. Hopefully they give them a good deal, because I mean, really, just it's just fascinating. The more you kind of read into it, and the more you just kind of go, yeah, this is not a sustainable situation for anyone. The creatives who do this stuff, I mean, we are here celebrating these creatives. It's just really unfortunate that
I don't even work in the entertainment industry, and AI is a big deal at my job, which is AEC, architecture, engineering, construction. So I mean, I know that's just a piece of it, but it's the piece that is a big part of it because it's projecting into the future, right? Like they want to be able to deal with this before it becomes a problem, and we're in the same boat. So I definitely, and after the stories I heard at Comic-Con about AI and actors and even background actors, it's kind of nuts. So
I mean, there was an interesting ruling as of today. I believe there's a federal judge that ruled that AI generated art cannot be copyrighted because there is no person involved, regardless of who prompts it, if it is generated by. And so it's interesting how that ruling will influence other mediums and other creative pursuits. If
just a huge deal.
Well, and it's I mean, no one really knows how this affects, because of course this doesn't really help things for the writers per se, because ultimately I think the producer's ultimate goal is that executives can just punch into AI and have an AI write a first draft script, and then they're only hiring basically screenwriters and script doctors to come punch things up. At which point they're not going to get any royalties for anything that they do. But of course, then it's a question of, well, then if
They're 17
that
cents a
first
year.
draft, if that first draft of the script is not copyrightable, then what implications does that mean for the industry as a whole?
Oh, Millie, she walked across
so-
my cord. Hold on.
Anyways, so that is to say, also we should also mention that of course we are not scabbing. This is classified as journalism, where we are commenting on creative work and not supporting studios and not doing anything for the studios on the studio's behalf. We are excited about Dave Filoni and the creatives involved, not the studios. Give them a deal. So, but welcome, Lexi.
Hey,
Lexi, can you talk to us?
I made it.
You can talk. Yay.
Yeah.
Sorry, Millie walked across my cord.
Yes.
I'm going to move on to the next news story. They've recently announced a new comic book. If you're familiar with Peach Momoko, who's a pretty popular anime creator. In fact, actually, I believe she was commissioned recently by Marvel Comics as part of their Stormbreakers program for rising talent in the American comic book industry. And then 2021, she got an Eisner Award and the Ringo Award for Best Cover Artist. So she launched a Momoko verse, a line of comics at Marvel that reimagined the entire Marvel universe within the lens of Japanese folktales. And she has been given the chance to interpret Star Wars mythos through Japanese anime in a new comic through the Star Wars Visions brand. And this is a one-shot comic from Marvel. She'll be writing and drawing her own original story, kind of about the Sith. And she just kind of was interested in writing a story that is about a Sith cultist. And so that should be coming out very soon. It's arriving in stores November 2023. So check out that. Keep an eye out for that. Our last story kind of will lead us into the next thing, which is that at the last minute last night, they made a pretty big announcement, which I think is actually very smart. And I don't know why it's taking them so long, but they've announced that starting with Ahsoka, episodes will not release at midnight Pacific time any longer. Episodes will release on Tuesday nights at 6 p.m. This puts them right into prime time. So that's 6 p.m. Pacific time. That'll be 9 o'clock Eastern.
7 o'clock Mountain.
Wait. 6 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific. You said 6 p.m.
6 p.m. Pacific.
And 9 p.m.
Yes.
Oh.
9.
Oh, never
Eastern.
mind.
It goes the other way. Yes.
Well caught up.
I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm not judging. I'm really not judging.
What are you eating, Lexi?
I have blueberries.
Oh.
It's kind of necessary. Kind of necessary at this point.
I'm allergic to them, so those are death bombs for me.
Oh.
So this will start tomorrow with the first 2 episodes of Ahsoka. Episodes 1 and 2 will drop tomorrow at 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock if you're on the East Coast. And what time Central?
6 p.m. East Coast, 7 p.m. Mountain Time.
7 p.m. Great. So that is exciting news. It means you do not have to wait until midnight or stay up late or risk your set your alarm the next morning.
I wasn't waiting until midnight
so
anyway. But I'm excited. I'm very excited, guys. Watch, the first night it's gonna crash.
Has been good.
The Disney Plus app is gonna crash.
I know, right? I mean, so have you guys picked up on any
Actually,
of the non-spoiler reviews or anything for Ahsoka? That I think they had a bunch of folks invited to a premiere event that they did
So many of my
in
friends were
various cities
there.
across the country.
Yeah. A lot of my
Oh,
friends were at
really?
the LA one at
Yeah.
El Capitan. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, they had one at El
I'm
Capitan. I
going
didn't
in
know that.
blind.
You're what?
I'm going in kind of blind, and I'm excited.
Right on.
I haven't
Yeah,
been
I mean,
watching
Buzz has
anything
been mostly.
spoilery. Just like stuff you need to like kind of recaps of her life story through the different series and
Mhm.
novels. That's pretty much what I've been
Mhm.
focused on, just to remember the backstory, because I know we did an Ahsoka arc in our just on our show when she was going to be on
Yeah.
Mandalorian and Book of
We
Boba
did that
Fett.
art.
And yeah, and
In
like so
fact,
much
I
of
don't even think
that
we
is even
finished
like
it.
lost from my brain. Did we not finish it?
Oh, we did it
We
because
didn't
we
finish that
switched
arc.
gears. We
So,
switched gears for Mandalorian and
uh-huh.
switched it to Bo-Katan at like midway.
No,
Oh,
we
that's
started that arc,
right.
and we did not.
Well, I think we're going to
Finish.
talk about some good episodes to watch, right? In this episode.
Yeah.
But there's also some good just to kind of recaps of her life online as well. So, which I definitely recommend
There
doing.
are.
And if you can
As
watch the episodes then leading up to the show, if you have time or energy, then it can't hurt.
Yeah, I always plug the Star Wars Explained guys just because they seem to be like the least toxic and the most like yeah
Toxic.
uh
Oh my
uh
God.
the the least toxic and kind of most like on mark like canon
What
followers
do you mean by toxic? Do you mean like
of
like nobody hates Star Wars as much as Star Wars fans toxic?
oh yeah.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha.
I mean it's fandom, right? We all know, we've all confronted it.
Oh, Star Wars fans are the
They
worst.
make great efforts. They make great efforts to keep things positive, and they are very well read. I mean, they know the extended universe. They know the new canon. They will differentiate between all of it, and and they're also very open to the idea that there are different Star Wars content for different demographics, and they are really good at being comprehensive about it all.
Excellent. Are we going to talk about the
Um,
episodes?
sure.
Yeah.
Where do we want to start here? So, okay, so what we are working off of, we're working off of an article that was published by AV Club, and they recommended 11 episodes to watch before for the Ahsoka series. Their first thing they say is Tales of the Jedi season 1 episode 6. I don't know if that's like the best place to start though. What do you guys think?
Unless you're going chronological,
I mean,
you know.
that feels like, because I mean, because that's like an alternate take of basically Clone Wars or season 7, Siege of Mandalore,
Yeah.
right? It's like there's a lot of
I
other
feel-
stuff you have to establish about the character.
I feel like you could get more from it, starting in a spot that's like kind of maybe more congruous with like the rest of the Clone Wars series and less of a standalone. And yeah, I think there's more places to be helpful and build from that. Like if you're gonna go that early, you might as well go to the Tales of the Jedi where she's a baby, and start
Yeah,
and
I'm
do
surprised that's not on
chronological.
here. Yeah.
I mean, I think they're pulling allusions to the trailer that seems to kind of not exactly repeat, but some of the narration from Hayden Christensen in one of the trailers seems to like mirror with some of his lessons for Ahsoka in that episode. I imagine that's what why they're suggesting this one.
It's a good episode, and I think that it is important, especially when it came to how she reacted and survived during Order 66. But I am a little surprised that they didn't do like 12 episodes to watch and put in the Tales of the Jedi baby episode, if the, as just sort of biographical information of, where she comes from and what her people are like. And
if you're going to go this far back, you might as well get biographical, do that one. That's a pretty cool episode.
Yeah, I'll say this. It's like Tales of the Jedi. There are total of 6 episodes, right? And 3 of them are about Ahsoka at various points in her life. They're all roughly about 10 to 15 minutes tops. They're a pretty quick watch. You could watch all 3 if you wanted to.
Yeah.
And they give you kind of
Cool.
a pretty good overview of her arc, right? But I do feel like this particular episode 5, really only has impact if you've seen season 7, episode 21 and 22 already, because then it's kind of retrospective. It's not mentioned here. Of course, there are a number of episodes within Clone Wars that introduce the character. I do kind of I know a lot of people will disagree with this because a lot of people hate the movie, but I will recommend the Clone Wars movie, which is technically kind of the pilot, because it's like, it's your introduction to Ahsoka, and yeah, she's kind of written as an annoying kid sister, but that's on purpose. And you get to watch Anakin cringe when he gets called Sky Guy the first time.
Well, and that's where she gets the nickname Snips, right? Because he says that she's snippy.
Snippy, yeah.
But I think it is a really important part of her origin story to understand that Yoda makes this choice to assign her as a Padawan younger than most Padawans are assigned. Like, she's like, they're actually not supposed to assign them as Padawans until they're like older teens, but he specifically assigns her to Anakin, thinking it would teach Anakin a lesson to have to deal with basically himself and his own brashness through her. And I think that's the really kind of one of the most interesting innovations from George Lucas and Dave Filoni, that set everything up, is that not only does it not teach the lesson that Yoda wanted to, it makes him lean harder into his connections. Yeah, I mean, it's like he basically says, if he teaches someone, then he'll have to learn how to let go. And ultimately, he holds on tighter as a result of his relationship with Ahsoka.
And the interesting thing about it is that Ahsoka learns what Anakin didn't.
Right.
In a lot of
that she progresses having the emotional support and mentorship that ultimately no one really gave Anakin.
Wonder if that was, I was gonna say, if you really wanted to be generous with Yoda, you could say that he was like, well, shit, that one is a lost cause. Let's bring this one in.
Well, and if the preview for Ahsoka is, if the preview for Ahsoka is any indication, I don't think that Ahsoka is a particularly good master to other people either.
Oh yeah, we even kind of see that in Book of Boba Fett or in Mandalorian too, right? Yeah. Where she's kind of like, I cannot teach
thanks.
Nope.
Oh, he's nope. Cute.
Hard no.
Take him somewhere else. So lovely. No, thank you. This is she's more reasons to love Ahsoka, where she's like, a child, I'm out.
She's not a maternal one.
Child free Ahsoka. Child free Ahsoka. Yeah.
Okay, so this list from AV Club, the next episode that they jump to is Clone Wars Season 5, Episode 20, The Wrong Jedi. So they jump right to the end. I mean, this is basically when she is wrongfully accused of the bombing at the Jedi Temple. I mean, obviously this is a very important one, but again, I think I wonder, does this episode make sense if you don't have context, if you don't know what the relationship between Barriss Offee and her is?
But it's when
that.
she leaves the Jedi Order, which I think is important.
Right.
And it shows her that she has a clear sense of what's right and wrong.
Sure.
And to her, this was wrong, and she's not gonna just brush it under the rug.
Yeah.
She'd rather strike out on her own and figure out what happened on her own than just, go back and say, okay, all's good, guys. Like,
to me, it's the moment where she differentiates herself from Anakin rather than staying dogmatic and then getting disillusioned and turning to something destructive. She goes, yeah, this is wrong. Like Tracy said, like this is not it. And I'm gonna go make my own path rather than Anakin, who was like, what other path do you have for me? Dark side? Sure, okay. So
well, it's also the point where he says to her, you don't know how close I've been from walking away. And she says, I know. Like, she's known about him and Padme for who knows how long. And he wasn't aware that she knew. So it shows that she's much more observant and more connected to him than even he realized.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and also, very importantly, when you look at Anakin getting butthurt about not being considered part of the council, even though he is representing the Palpatine on the council in Revenge of the Sith, like the context of this like justifies more of his distrust, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is one of these things which an argument for the Clone Wars is that it really does give more much needed backstory and establishment of kind of the state of things before Revenge of the Sith. I think it makes it a better movie. And I'm stand by that.
Oh, the Clone Wars and Rebels definitely made the prequels better movies.
Yeah. It's like some of the most successful retconning I've ever seen in my life.
So, one episode that I think should be added to this list, and I am going to see if I can find the name of it, but I don't think I'm going to be able to find the name, but I can't. So, there's an episode where we meet, oh gosh, what is his name? He's like the old man Jedi who's like the detective Jedi. Do you guys remember this? Okay, there's an episode where basically someone picks Ahsoka's pocket and she loses her lightsaber, and it's super embarrassing, and she doesn't want Anakin to know, so she won't ask Anakin for help. And then she bumps into this really old Jedi Master who has a long neck, and it's like, we have a mystery to solve. And she basically does kind of a little mystery solve to find her
Dixon Hill action.
A little Dixon Hill action to find her lightsaber. She learns a lot about patience from this from this old Jedi Master. But also, like, I think this is also the point at which she ends up adopting the Soto, the short sword, so that she could. This is like the point when she goes to dual wielding after this episode, and that's an important thing, I think, because particularly as lightsaber color, is taking center stage, as everyone's like speculating as to why the villains have orange instead of red lightsabers. But this is when Ahsoka first started to dual wield, and her second saber was notably a lighter shade of green, because of course this is when she influences her crystal at this point, she internally has changed and her relationship to the force has changed.
These
So
are the sabers that
her
she
second
gives.
saber is
These are the sabers that she abandons eventually. Okay.
Yeah, when
okay.
she and Rex go incognito. Those are the abandoned sabers. But then it's worth noting that she still ends up dual wielding, and something that I would really love for them to touch on is something that is shown in Rebels and shown in the trailers, and written about. The process is written about in the novels, and I think they hint at it in the Tales of the Jedi, but how Ahsoka got her second set of crystals and why they are white.
I think that's
Yes.
one of the. Is that one of the episodes that's listed on here or no?
It's not. It's only really discussed in the book. They'll probably. I think hopefully they'll talk about it in the show. But I mean, there's
like a whole scene dedicated to it in the book.
Yeah,
this whole scene, like
I do hope they kind of dig into that a little bit more, because I mean it is kind of an interesting bit of lore around lightsaber color, right? It just so you know, it's like blue lightsabers are usually like warrior class folks, people who are, you know, there to defeat evil. Green lightsabers usually denote someone who is more spiritual or more into the kind of like the cosmic force, so to speak. And like
Yoda?
the yellow classification is more of like the guardian types, and of course that's why you'll have all the temple guards who have yellow sabers. And so that was the interesting thing of with her
And
second
purple
saber
is if you're the one badass motherfucker.
going. Well, the purple is because you are influenced a little bit by the dark side, which Mace Windu does employ a little bit because he is like the master of combat, right? And that is a distinction. And what Lexi, do you want to talk about the whole process of bleeding as well as purification?
More the purification, because I read that in at least the EU novels, and it seems as though, I don't know how much they will keep to the EU novels, but they did already decide to do the dual wielding white sabers, which is EU. You know, it's EU parallel. So in the EU, at least, there are inquisitors that are trained by Vader, presumably, and Ahsoka a pull to that they will be on, feels a pull into confrontations with them, and then shatters their sabers in single combat and purifies the bled Sith lightsabers to white and takes them for herself. And so she ends up, and there's throughout the novel she's been collecting pieces of machinery, kind of with just an inkling of feeling like she's going to need them later. And then when she engages in the battle for this kyber crystal, gets her kyber crystals, which she bleeds pure, she ends up using these pieces of equipment and gear and metal that she has been gathering throughout her encounters with people, kind of defining her new life, and forms those into the new lightsaber. So it'd be very interesting if they decide to cover that. I would really like that.
And so yes, and then of course also so the idea being that in the way you get a Sith an evil red lightsaber is that you must kill a Jedi, take their lightsaber and take their kyber crystal, regardless of whatever color it is, and then you kind of go through a ritual of what they call bleeding it. That is, you pour all of your hate, your anger, your rage into the crystal, and you kind of force the crystal to submit to your will, and it turns red. And basically, the purification is the opposite of that, right?
And there's a really interesting twist on that lore, actually, in the Star Wars Visions 2 with the last show, Oz Crystal. which I think you guys probably got to talk about last week when I wasn't able
Mhm.
to be here, but how had this mythos that they created, this lore they created of a planet where the Sith came and poured their pain into an entire mine's worth of crystals, and this one little future Padawan purified all the crystals with her voice. Um, but anyway, I mean, I just remember I was like, man, I didn't get to talk about that bit of crystal adjacent lore, which I thought was really
Another episode that's not listed here that I think is important is the Mortis arc, right? And this
Oh
is, of
yeah,
course,
that's not
when
here. Yeah.
the
cool.
with
Oh, Mortis arc
Obi-Wan,
not there.
yeah, Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, and Anakin are drawn into a little pocket dimension where they are met by the Force gods, the father, the son, and the daughter,
Holy
who kind
Amen,
of
sir.
represent the dark side, the light side, and
I
the
think we did
balance,
get to that when we did
respectively.
our Ahsoka arc. I remember talking
I
about
think
that
we
one.
did.
We did
Yeah.
talk about the Mortis arc. I remember us talking about the Mortis arc.
Well, and I think, that's so important, particularly as it relates to, of course, when we get to the world between worlds and, like the connection to hyperspace. Um, but we'll get to that anyways. But more thing to note is Ahsoka is killed in this pocket dimension as she is basically possessed by the sun, by the
Who
dark side
represents the dark
embodiment.
side, and the daughter represents the light side, and the
And
father is the one keeping them in balance.
and then Anakin ultimately is given the chance to resurrect her using the spiritual energy of the daughter. So this physical embodiment of the light kind of lives inside Ahsoka, and that's also why the Convor, the little owl creature with the tail, kind of follows her around wherever she goes, presumably guided by the daughter. So
In all the portraits, the daughter of the three of them, the daughter has the little owl.
and I believe even Sabine has a Convor painted onto her helmet as well. Interestingly enough. Okay, the next episode that they mention is season 7, episode 12. This is Victory and Death. This is the Siege of Mandalore. Yeah, it's an important one. I think that's a good one. And of course, like we said, we get a different angle of this.
This is the one where
from
she
Tales of
abandons
the
her
Jedi.
sabers, right?
Yes, well, she has a big duel with Darth Maul, which is awesome. We actually talked to Lauren Mary Kim, who was the body double for Ahsoka, along with Ray Park for all of that, or I guess the animation reference for that. And then she does abandon her original sabers to fake
And
her
says
own
goodbye
death.
to Captain Rex.
Says goodbye. Well, wait. They don't say
Yeah.
goodbye, do they?
Well, yeah,
I
because
thought
they're across the
I
field from
thought
each
they
other with all the like helmets on the pikes.
I thought they both jump into the same Y-wing and they go off into space together. You don't know how they separate yet.
I thought that was one where they separated. If anybody in the comments remembers, but I thought that was the one where she abandoned her sabers. And then they were reunited later when he was much like he had grown the gray beard and everything.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, she doesn't like stay on the planet. They only have one ship between them. Presumably he drops her off somewhere else and goes off and meets the Bad Batch somewhere. But
I'll rewatch it and I'll eat my words if I'm wrong.
Next, Star Wars Rebels, Fire Across the Galaxy, season 1, episode 15. This was the end of the first season of Rebels, and it is revealed that she has been operating as a intelligence person for the Rebel Alliance, or actually, I guess the Pre-Alliance, as an operative called Fulcrum, which is also a moniker that was coined by Anakin from one of the episodes in Clone Wars.
Clone Wars, yeah.
I think that was actually his Fulcrum who was communicating with Saw Gerrera, actually.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I remember. I was like, oh, she brought that back. She brought it around full circle.
God, I
Let's
didn't
see
even
here. The
connect those dots
next,
before this.
Next thing they list is season 2, Shroud of Darkness, episode 18. What episode was that?
That's the one.
Giant.
Well, okay, so that's the one where Ezra and Kanan and the Inquisitors fight. And Ezra shows his first like communicating with, you know, being able to communicate with creatures.
Is that this one or the next one?
That's Shroud of Darkness.
Twilight of the Apprentice is the one where they fight the Inquisitors, I thought. Let's see. It begins with
not what I'm looking at. I'm just looking at the thing real quick. And yeah, it says it starts off with the battle between Ezra, Kanan, and the Inquisitors, who have been tasked by Darth Vader to hunt down the remaining Jedi. This is where Ezra learns about Anakin.
So has a top of the sofa and one spot straight. Oh, okay. I remember this now. Okay, right. This is the first time that they visit the Jedi Temple on Lothal.
Yes.
And it's the 3 of them, and each of them has their own vision. Ezra gets to talk to Yoda. This is where Kanan gets knighted by the Grand Inquisitor, who we find out was the captain of the Temple Guards before he became an Inquisitor. And oh gosh, I can't remember what. Oh, that's right. And then Ahsoka has her vision where she talks to like her evil self or something like that.
Yeah, which is interesting because it mirrors the Yoda episode where he has to talk to his dark self,
right,
and then assimilate it instead of fighting it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that one.
I don't remember what episode that was. I'm sorry, I got no more. I just ate it, you guys.
Lexi's just over here eating her blueberries, you guys.
Yeah.
I went out camping this weekend, and it was 92 degrees, and then a storm blew in, and then there was 20 minutes of like pouring rain, and then it dropped down to like 70 degrees, and it hailed, and then it went back up to like rain, and then it went back to 90 degrees. And that's just pretty standard for Colorado, but it was still like a whiplash emotional experience. I felt pretty emotionally abused by it all, and I just got back yesterday, and you guys don't want to see the rest of my room. It's a mess.
Yeah, I mean, we had a earthquake.
Yeah. Oh, I was on the phone with one of my friends when she's like, yeah, the rain is so bad, I had to cancel work today because I'm not leaving my daughter when there's a flash flood warning. Ooh, is my apartment just that rickety, or was that an earthquake? I was like, he goes, oh, I did. I just got an earthquake warning. I was like, all right, we have earth.
Well, I was like, I kept waiting for winds to pick up, and like they never picked up. And so then when I felt the shaking, I was like, oh, the winds finally kick in. And I opened the window, I look outside, and like, no, it's not even raining. That was just a quake. Oh, weird.
And there was like something like 72 aftershocks or something.
Yeah.
Up in Ojai, I guess the center was. Anyways,
okay.
Yeah, I got to witness the audio witness the earthquake in real time via
Okay, 10 more minutes, and let's get through this list.
Even
if we disagree with this list, let's get through this list.
This is my fault. I have a hard out at 7:30.
Yeah. Okay, so Twilight of the Apprentice, that's the season 2 finale, episodes 21, 22. That's actually, honestly, a great episode. And this is 3 Inquisitors face off against Maul, Ahsoka, Kanan, and Ezra. And Maul was trying to turn Ezra to the dark side and make him his apprentice. There's a Sith temple. The Sith temple ends up being like a proto Death Star, and then Vader shows up, and we finally have the Vader versus Ahsoka fight, which is pretty fantastic and super emotional because she figures out that he's actually
Her
Anakin.
big eyes looking at him.
Yeah.
That one hurt. That one really hurt me when I watched it the first time.
Then jumping ahead to season 4, episode 13, this is A World Between Worlds, and we revisit that same episode actually a year later, after a bunch of crap has happened. Kanan has died. Spoiler alert. Ezra has grown up quite a bit, and they basically end up back at the Lothal Temple, which has basically been demolished and excavated by the Empire. And the Empire is kind of digging into trying to figure out what this temple does. And it's very unclear.
Is anybody else having Andy pull out? Or
what is implied is not only do the local wildlife on Lothal, mainly the wolves, have access to hyperspace, because they are able to like transport them across the planet in the blink of an eye, and they go through the big blue glowy tube and all that.
Yeah.
But also that the temple serves as a gateway to this place called the World Between Worlds, which could also be some other embodiment of hyperspace, because it basically it's a point from which all time and space is connected.
And there's a
I remember
theory
the first time I watched
wolves-
this.
There's a theory that these wolves connect to the 2 orange saber people in Ahsoka, because they're named after 2 of the wolves that Odin sent out. And the wolves were inspired by Norse mythology, and there's a whole theory about that.
Give me the names. I'm moderately familiar with Norse mythology.
Oh, I have to look them up. Hold on. Sorry, Andy, I interrupted your thought. I did not mean to.
Skull and no, it's Skull and Hati, right?
Maybe that sounds familiar.
Skull and Hati. Okay.
Well, because our 2 Darksiders are
Balin Skull and Shin Hati.
Balin Skull and Shin Hati.
Wow, yeah, that do get some Norse influences. Lovely. Fantastic.
Because they are 2 giant wolves that are chasing to eat the sun and the moon, respectively.
Which results in Ragnarok and yeah. Anyway, we got 5 minutes. Let's go.
Okay.
I love that Odin has dualities. He's got like Hogan and Moon and stuff like that. Anyway,
it's a very yin yang of Norse mythology.
Yep. And then the rest of these are more stuff we know, like the Mandalorian episodes where she appeared, the Boba Fett episode she appeared, and of course the
finale
season finale of Rebels, which ends with the final teaser scene, kind of teasing what this is, which we feel like Ahsoka will very much be a Rebels season 5, or at least a spiritual season 5.
Thrawn and Ezra get sucked into like a subspace or something by the giant whales, and Ahsoka's been looking for them ever since. Ahsoka and Sabine, right?
I really would. Where's my pot of Purgles that take me in a hyperspace?
Purgles are space whales that can access, again, more animal creatures that can access hyperspace. So things you guys are looking forward to, or theories, or things that you hope play out in Ahsoka. Tracy.
I'm looking forward. It looks like they're gonna show that the sort of what I forget what it's called, but it just looks like outer space with all these walkways and everything that look into different aspects of the Force, and you can see like the past and all these things. It looks like Ray Stevenson and his character Skull and Ahsoka are going to meet there and even maybe fight there. So I'm excited to see kind of what they do with that. and just seeing like the Rebels team is in live action, I think is going to be just a lot of fun.
How about you, Lexi?
Like, I mean, I really agree with Tracy as far as seeing the Rebels team in live action. We already had live action CGI Zeb teased in Mandalorian. I think they did a great job on that. I can't wait to see where they take that. I'm and I think I mentioned earlier as we were talking that I can't wait to see. I really hope they go into the lore for how she gets her new sabers and why they're white and why she sticks with two. And even if they don't like spoon feed us why she sticks with two, you know, I hope that the way that they choose to reveal that, I hope that the way that they choose to incorporate that in with her sabers isn't just she shows up, she has two sabers, or at least if she shows up and she has two sabers, maybe get flashbacks for how she acquired them and how she made them. That would be phenomenal to me because I actually truly was a fan of the way that they had that happen in the EU, and they've already seemed to follow it somewhat. So it would be kind of cool if they played off of that. I wouldn't be mad at all.
I hope it's more of a Lord of the Rings prologue and less of a Book of Boba Fett going back and forth thing, though. I
My
just,
God,
I don't
please,
know.
yes.
Anyway, sorry, Andy. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I mean,
No.
I'm with you, Lexi, in terms of, I mean, I think there's a lot of potential. We know Dave likes to go kind of into deep lore, and I think that's an aspect that has been missing from Star Wars for a while, is kind of the deep mythology of it all. And to get into some of that, like these things about, you know, if it really does tie into the origin of hyperspace, origin of the Force, kind of things like that, different aspects of the Force. I mean, even already in our Rogues Gallery, right? We have Thrawn, a non-Force user from a race that basically invented hyperspace travel because the females of the race are all a bit Force sensitive. We have Morgan Elsbeth, who is potentially a Night Sister, and you know, we, you know, getting to see how Night Sister magic works.
Looking a little grayer than she did in The Mandalorian.
We also have Merrick, who is a former Sith Inquisitor, who I wonder if it's possible that he could be Galen Merrick, and they're reusing the character from the Force Unleashed video games, so that who was the dark side apprentice of Darth Vader. So you could have the apprentice of Darth Vader versus the apprentice of Anakin. I think that would be cool. And of course, then we have these, you know, Balin and Skull and what they represent. So we're already getting a very wide variety of dark side folks and different takes on the dark side. And I hope that does kind of translate into getting more into the grander myth of it all. I also really hope we get a Bendu sighting of some kind. That would be freaking cool.
I want a Bendu sighting. I can't really mention that, but yeah, and you know, I'd lose, I'd absolutely lose it if we had a Bendu sighting.
Well, and that's the opportunity, right? That's the opportunity with a character like Ahsoka. It's like, let's get into different aspects of the Force, right?
Yeah, she's the one who said, "I am no Jedi," and Bendu makes a point of saying that, like, Bendu is not light, Bendu is not dark. You know, no Ashla, no Bogan,
and we yeah, that's right. And we do know that she takes on the name Ashla as a
that was one of the Tales of the Jedi, whatever. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you have the fact that she's got a very close association with Ezra and Kanan, who have had dealings with the Bendu. I would love it if we had that. Tracy, we gotta respect
all right. Out. So Tracy's got to go.
Nerd girl out.
So we're gonna lose Tracy, but we're gonna bring on
Happy Crosstalk
guys from Geek Beast are coming in as she's going out, and there they are. Hey, how's it going?
What's up, everyone? How y'all doing?
We're doing okay. We were doing a little bit of talk, a little prep about Ahsoka.
I was listening to that. I was listening.
So how about you guys? What are you guys hoping for or looking forward to in Ahsoka?
I want to see her abilities evolved from regular Jedi abilities, where
She's not a Jedi.
I know that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Because there are dark Jedi in this. Apparently, the two enemies she's facing are dark Jedi. And I want to see hers from the light Jedi, her abilities be different from that and closer to them. Like she's willing to do things they're willing to do.
You know what? You bring up something else actually that I've been thinking about, Johnny, that I would like to see them explain or at least acknowledge whether she is now accepting her role as a Jedi or not. Right?
I'll be angry if she
I think
that's the road.
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear. She said she's not a Jedi. She says
Well,
it. I'm not.
It's been a while, right?
But
I mean,
not.
But she
She
was. She
went
didn't.
against her master and
Well,
said, "Lucky
And
for
she
you,
didn't
fucking
seem
by
to
the Jedi."
accept. She didn't
I mean,
seem to accept Jedi in what? The Book of Boba Fett. You know, she
Yeah.
was kind of like, nah, I'm not training the little one. That's just not really my call, my
Yeah.
calling. You know,
Yeah.
You want him to be a Jedi, not me.
Yeah, not
she's
me.
like,
Yeah,
not me. You know, maybe you can do it. You know,
maybe hand him the Luke. Yeah, hand
yeah,
him the
maybe
Luke.
having to my nephew. You know, he might can help him out a little bit, but it's not
Yeah,
really
my
my thing.
nephew. Yeah, basically.
I'm not feeling that maternal right now, and that's another way that I really heavily identify with Ahsoka. Hello, thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
So yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
the way they had it leading, I didn't think she was following the path of
The
the
Jedi
Jedi.
Order.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And to answer your question, Andy, what I'm looking forward to seeing is Thrawn's return. I thought Thrawn was just an awesome villain.
Yeah.
Only behind Vader and the Emperor, right? I mean,
Only behind the
right?
Emperor. Let's be honest.
But he was so intelligent, he was
Mhm.
so strategic,
and
Mhm.
so
different,
prepared.
right?
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
feel like if he would have been with the Empire, I think they would have crushed the rebellion. You know, like that's,
Yeah, dude.
I think like he changed the whole trajectory. So I'm really interested in seeing his return.
Yeah.
I mean, that was always the interesting argument after Rebels ended, right? Was that ultimately it made Ezra like a very consequential hero
Yes.
because he took Thrawn off the board.
Yes, he took
Uh,
the board. Mm-hmm.
and it does make you think like, okay, so if Thrawn wasn't on the board, would things have gone differently with the rest of the rebellion?
And now Thrawn's back, and I'm assuming he's back with Ezra because they left together.
I'm still really curious of how quickly he's going. I mean, because I don't know. Maybe I'm like emotionally preparing myself because I've been burned by too many Disney Plus series, but I'm fully expecting him to not show up till like the end of the season.
Me too. Me too.
I'm like emotionally preparing myself for that.
I think he's going to show up with Ezra, and Ezra is also a dark Jedi that's riding with Thrawn. I mean,
Oh, you think that? Oh,
I think
Or-
they've been gone for so long, and Thrawn's had time to talk to him.
Or
Like this is what
maybe,
I was trying to do. I don't care what the Emperor was trying to do. This is what I wanted for us.
or maybe it's not as cut and dry as the light side versus the dark side. Like they've been gone, right? And they've
Yeah.
been beyond what's
Beyond
physical.
the-
So it's kind of like,
What if they were with the Bendu?
Right,
Yeah, they were
no,
Bendu.
absolutely
Yeah,
right. They would Bendu
but
because
Thrawn is good.
they haven't been influenced by the teachings of the Jedi or the Sith, and so
What if-
they're kind of developing their own sort of philosophy,
Mhm.
maybe.
You know, maybe the whale starts talking to them.
I mean,
look.
obviously, like this is just my this is my gender divergent something like. What if they went beyond the binary, like the light side and the dark side? Okay, stop. But
No,
what if they did? I don't know.
that is.
But I think that's
They're
valid.
not
Yeah,
light nor dark. I think
right. They're not light nor
Ezra's not
dark.
light
But
nor
what
Right.
if they
nor
did?
is
That would be
Thrawn.
so cool. That would be
You know?
so cool.
Where Thrawn says, "Look, my vision
would-
for the Empire, for the universe, is different than what the Empire wants. It's different than what the Rebellion wants." And then Ezra's like, "I kind of agree with you." Or I do agree with you. Maybe they did meet something like Bendu and they're in their warp speed. They met, or the
Yeah.
whale started talking to them and said, "Look, this is what's going on, and you're powerful and strong, and you're powerful in knowledge. Why don't y'all come together for me?"
I mean, the interesting thing, having just rewatched through Rebels, is how gullible is not the right word. What's how
Acceptable.
how willing to listen Ezra is, right?
Ezra is.
Because he basically, he gets taken in by Hondo. He gets taken in by Maul. He
Mhm.
he does eventually learn how to draw some better boundaries because he gets burned by multiple people through the course of the series. But that would be par for the course for Ezra to go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
right.
think Thrawn's not really an evil person. He's just a general that's doing his job really, really well.
Well, okay, I'll
And
say this though. In the books, he's a guy doing a job really well. But in Rebels, he is straight up evil. Like he basically is willing to like just start shelling an entire planet until Ezra turns himself over.
he is.
So
Yeah.
it's
And
like,
he is.
and I kind of feel like that they're, in order to really pay off of Thrawn being a threat and a new villain and a different kind of villain, I think they're gonna have to lean into him being evil.
Mhm.
I think.
I just
I
found
don't
him
know.
very
We'll see.
competent, like super competent, and I just liked how competent he
Like,
was.
Oh, I
strategically.
love that
I
we've
said
seen
that, but I knew
Pelion now too, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Because
If
that's the another important aspect. Sorry, Lexi. The
Oh, that's
important
fine.
aspect, if you remember the books, is that Thrawn was basically written like Sherlock Holmes, and you
Yeah.
need Pelion to be the Watson to ask him all the questions and be the
Mhm.
old
Watch
mustachioed, British guy.
Holmes.
Mm-hmm.
You need the watch to the home.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
those are my
It's gonna be
thoughts.
very interesting. It's gonna be
Now,
very
I heard you guys talking about episodes that you should watch, right, in
Yeah.
preparation. But I guess my thought is, if you haven't seen all of Clone Wars and all of Rebels, why are you watching Ahsoka?
Well,
You
I
should.
mean, here's the thing though. I mean, and I think I've been watching a lot of the reviews, a lot of reviewers who have not watched Clone Wars or Rebels are still very positive about this, and they're feeling the consensus of the feeling is that the first two episodes is very direct in terms of its single story that it's telling, and so that you can pick up on that, and it's also that the show is delivering on kind of the Jedi mythos and lightsaber battles, and in a way that we really haven't had in a while. I mean,
How would they
honestly,
know that if they haven't seen the show? If they haven't seen Rebels and Clone Wars?
well, that's the thing that they haven't seen that, and they're still responding well to the show. So I think that's a good sign, right?
yeah.
That
I have a friend, he's not seen any of this, and he's like, he came to me on Saturday. Saturday, and he was like, "Chuck, I'm really excited about Ahsoka." And I was like, "Have you know anything about her?" He says, "No, but I know from Mandalorian and what I know from Boba Fett's what I know about Ahsoka." I'm really excited about it. I was like, "Oh my gosh, she's the greatest character in the Star Wars lore for me." And I said, "So I'm gonna give
Yeah,
you some." I
I
said,
love her.
"Please look at this list of episodes. Look at this one video. You can have an understanding who she is, how badass she really is." Like he had no idea she was uh Anakin's apprentice. He had no idea. But he was still excited about the show. Very, very excited.
That's
I think
fantastic.
people are just
Very
excited to
happy.
have like Jedi action again, right? I mean,
Mhm.
I am.
that's going to be
Sword
the
battle.
first point
Or
of appeal for this, right?
Sword battles, yeah.
or first, like I personally, I know what was it? What was the Rebel one, the live action one, Andor. Like I know some
And
people were excited because there's no Force users or things like that. And what I liked Andor, while I like Andor, I just kind of need space wizards in my Star
Yeah.
Wars. I just
Space
I
Yeah,
just
Wizards
I
right.
just
Sword.
I just do. I need space wizards with their wands fighting in
Mhm.
my Star Wars. I
Mhm.
I, I do, right?
Space wizards and
Give me the-
swords.
give me the boom, boom,
Yeah, yeah.
But I think
I
it does.
that'll be very
It is
interesting.
a thing of bringing it back to its mythic roots, right?
Yes.
If George Lucas set out to make something universal that spoke to something mythic and universal, right? It comes down to that kind of sword and sorcery in a, you know, nondescript space sci-fi
Yeah.
world.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm very interested in seeing something that is Jedi but not so Jedi, and
am no
Sith
Jedi.
but not so Sith actually battle each other. And I
Sure.
wish they had Jedi and Sith inside of those two. Hopefully, we'll have that. Hopefully, there's some Inquisitors left that are there in the fall of the Empire, still trying to find their way, and they're willing to kill anything and everybody.
I mean, I'm still hoping for. I mean, you know, like I said, like what we have what eight episodes of this,
Mm-hmm.
and we have Elsbeth, Marek, Shin, and Hati, right? So that's, you know, at least potentially, you know, one major duel for every other episode, at least, right?
Yeah.
At least, a bare
Yeah.
minimum. And all of these are very different kinds of force users, right?
Yeah.
But if like we get to season 2, I hope we branch out into like other random cults or other interpretations
Yeah.
of the force, right?
Absolutely.
Because that's the opportunity.
I
in
think
that- in
that's
that-
what Star Wars is
stretching.
missing. Is other
Yeah.
is other interpretations of the Force. I like the way you put that.
Yeah,
Like worshippers of Bendu.
Yeah.
And remnants of the witches.
I'd watch that. The Sisters of Dathomir.
Yeah.
Samir, yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's so much more than one good arc we could get out of them.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it could be. I hope this opens that up. This unlocks it all for us.
All right. With that, we're gonna wrap this up. What are you guys talking about today?
That's a good question. We're talking about Charles Martinet is no longer the voice of Mario.
Oh,
Voice
Whoa.
of Mario is not there. And,
wow.
It's not him, Mario.
yep. The nun Barry Aarons is taking Warner Brothers to court. We're gonna talk about
Oh,
Bonnie Aarons is taking
This
Aarons.
because Warner Brothers is a crappy company. I don't blame them.
So she's taking Warner Brothers to court.
although have either of you guys seen Blue Beetle yet?
I have not, and
Yeah,
I'm going
I'm
to.
not.
I'm interested in seeing that character. I love Blue Beetle as a character. I've
I
always
mean,
loved him.
there's been positive buzz.
Everything
I
I've
mean,
heard.
I've
was
been
positive.
like everyone who I've seen has been positive about it. If for no other reason, a Latino family at the center of a superhero movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But
and the
Yeah.
Blue Beetle is a cool character,
I'm
man.
trying
It is
to,
a very cool
almost
character.
not to think about it.
Yeah.
But
sorry, say
There's
again,
some-
Lexi.
so there's so much writing on it for me emotionally in that sense that I've like been anxious to interact with it. So I'm.
Yeah.
I'll
He's
Alexi,
It's-
you're
Stuff, I'll go
DC
see it,
stan? Are you a DC stan?
Yeah, but no, Blue Beetle's a good character, man, and he's a teen. He's a teen titan. It's a good guy. Like I like
There's
it.
like, is there like genuinely well done Latin representation? Then I want to see it, and that's why I've been like,
Mm-hmm.
that's why
Yeah.
We haven't
I've been
seen it
anxious
yet.
about it. I
Yeah. I heard
Nope, not yet.
everybody seen it is like they told me it was good. They were like,
Yeah.
this over the Flash all day. I wish the Flash never
Well, that's
Oh, yeah.
not saying much, so we won't do that comparison.
Hey.
But I
Oh, yeah.
understand what you're saying.
James Gunn said the Flash is one of the best Warner Brothers movies. He went to the press and said it. He
I
may not
know.
have believed it, but he did say
He
it.
did say it. He did.
No, here's the sad thing, and this is not a defense of the movie at all, but it's actually is one of the better DC movies. And that's a sad truth.
But
I can't
James
even
Gunn
argue
didn't say
with you
just
there.
DC. He
I
said
can't
this.
argue, Andy.
He said this. He said, "Hey, this is one of the best superhero movies
hero
we're gonna
movies. He
get.
did.
Yeah.
I was like, he
Mm,
took
One of
it
the best
too
superhero
far.
movies."
See,
He said,
they-
"Yeah, this is one of the best
Yeah,
DC
that's the-
movies."
That's the company
like,
line right
okay.
there.
Right. But see, that's the thing. He probably was sitting down with the executive board and it was like, we got to sell this movie. out here being crazy. And so, they told James to pump it up, and James just went overboard. So the reporter was like, "What do you think it's Flash? It's the best."
And well, you know what? And then Aquaman is still out there. Aquaman fucking all up. I mean,
Aquaman can still fuck it all up.
oh,
Wow,
boy.
that's
You can still drown DC.
Love it. Love the wordplay.
All
Mr.
right.
Draw DC.
So come back for more of that in just a moment. Of course, we are the Pod Squadron. Please check out all of our content on podsquadron.com. Like, subscribe, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and YouTube. For podcast subscriptions, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast app. I am at Chinese Parrot on all platforms. Tracy is Nerd Girl on most platforms. Lexi.
Geek aesthetic. It'll be a great adventure if you can find me, and if I post, it'll be a lovely surprise.
And of course, thanks on the flight deck to Rodney. And come back next week. We're going to be talking about. Oh, actually, Rodney, do we want to talk about what's happening next week for us? So we'll get through episodes 1, 2, and 3 of Ahsoka. You can watch episode 3 of Ahsoka and then jump right on with us, and we can do a live react all together.
I like it.
All right. And we're the Pod Squadron. I already said all that stuff. Always laid in and prepared to make the jump to light speed on my mark. And remember, the truths we claim depend on our own point of view. Only the Sith deal in absolute. Stick around for Geek Beast. Good night, everyone.
Everybody.
Night.